In the words of Lysander Spooner, no man can have a right to impose an unchosen obligation, an unrewarded duty, or an involuntary servitude upon another man. Picture the mid-19th century United States, a time of great upheaval and change. At the heart of this transformation was a man named Lysander Spooner, a staunch advocate for individual freedom and a fierce opponent of slavery. Spooner was a man of conviction who believed that every individual held natural rights that were unassailable and absolute. Born in the first month of the year of 1808, Spooner was an American political philosopher, abolitionist, and legal theorist of the highest order. He was a firm believer in the concept of self-ownership, the philosophical idea that each person has exclusive control over his or her own body and life. In his view, no government, no institution, and no other individual had the right to infringe upon these inherent liberties. Spooner's criticism of government was not merely rhetoric. He held that the government was, in fact, the most significant obstacle to individual freedom. He argued that the state often overstepped its boundaries, imposing laws and regulations that were in direct conflict with the natural rights of the individual. Spooner believed that these actions were not only unjust, but also fundamentally hypocritical. In his seminal work, The Unconstitutionality of Slavery, Spooner presented a powerful argument against the institution of slavery. He contended that slavery was a gross violation of the natural rights of individuals, and was therefore fundamentally incompatible with the principles of freedom and liberty. Spooner's views on freedom and government were radical for his time, but they continue to resonate in our contemporary discussions on liberty, individual rights, and the role of the state. So as we delve deeper into the life and philosophy of Lysander Spooner, let's keep in mind his conviction that individuals are the true custodians of their own freedom. And remember, as Spooner would say, the only security men can have for their political liberty consists in keeping their money in their own pockets. Spooner believed, the government does not indeed waylay a man in a lonely place, spring upon him from the roadside, and holding a pistol to his head, proceed to rifle his pockets. Yet how different is this, he provocatively asked, from the act of taxation? Lysander Spooner, a profound thinker of the 19th century, saw a striking hypocrisy in the way governments operate. He argued that taxation, as practiced by the governments of his time, and indeed even now, was nothing short of legalized robbery. Now you might wonder, how could taxation be equated with robbery? After all, doesn't taxation serve a public good, funding our schools, roads, and hospitals? Spooner would argue, however, that the key difference lies in the element of consent. When we are taxed, we are rarely given a choice. The government determines how much we must pay, often without our input or agreement. Spooner believed that this was fundamentally unjust. He stated, if taxation without consent is not robbery, then any band of robbers have only to declare themselves a government, and all their robberies are legalized. In this statement, Spooner cuts to the heart of the issue. If a band of robbers were to demand a portion of your hard-earned money, you would undoubtedly consider it a crime. Yet, when the government does the same under the banner of taxation, it is seen as a civic duty. Spooner's contention was not with the concept of contributing to society, rather it was with the manner in which these contributions were enforced without consent. He believed that this was a clear violation of the individual's right to property, a cornerstone of personal freedom. We should remember that Spooner's critique of government hypocrisy was not an endorsement of lawlessness or chaos. He was a staunch advocate for the rights of individuals and the preservation of a just society. In Spooner's view, the only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. These words serve as a reminder that the true purpose of government should be to protect its citizens, not to exploit them. Spooner once stated, all men are born free. Slavery is a violation of that freedom. This quote stands as a testament to Lysander Spooner's unyielding belief in the fundamental right of every individual to freedom. Spooner, a renowned philosopher and abolitionist, held an unparalleled conviction in the natural rights of individuals. He saw slavery as a gross violation of these rights, a blemish on the face of humanity that needed to be eradicated. Spooner's views on slavery were not just mere opinions, they were the driving force behind his life's work. He was an ardent advocate for the rights of slaves, dedicating his time, effort, and resources to fight against this inhumane institution. Spooner believed that slavery was not only a moral abomination but also a contradiction to the natural order of human society. He held that slavery was a direct violation of the natural rights of individuals, rights that are inherent to every human being, regardless of race, religion, or social status. Spooner's opposition to slavery was not confined to speeches and writings. He put his words into action, using his legal expertise to challenge the constitutionality of slavery. He believed that it was not only unethical but also illegal under the U.S. Constitution. But Spooner's fight against slavery was not just about the law, it was about the very essence of humanity. He believed that no man, no matter how powerful, has the right to deny another man his freedom. This belief was the cornerstone of his philosophy, the guiding principle that shaped his life's work. Spooner's dedication to the abolition of slavery was not just about freeing slaves, it was about redefining the very concept of freedom. He believed that freedom was not a privilege to be granted or denied by the powerful, but a fundamental right, inherent to every individual. As Spooner put it, no man can be rightfully compelled to aid, abet, or in any way assist in the enslavement or robbery of himself. This powerful statement encapsulates Spooner's unwavering belief in the sanctity of individual freedom and the fundamental injustice of slavery. It serves as a reminder of the timeless struggle for freedom and the enduring power of the human spirit to resist oppression. Spooner believed anarchy is the sure consequence of tyranny or despotism. To understand this, we need to delve into Lysander Spooner's perspective on anarchy. Spooner was not advocating for chaos or lawlessness, as is often the misunderstanding of anarchy. Instead, he saw it as a natural response to oppressive governments. Spooner's anarchy was about the individual's inherent right to resist and overthrow tyrannical leaders. He believed that no government, no matter how well-intentioned, had the right to infringe upon the natural rights of individuals. Spooner viewed any government that did so as illegitimate and deserving of rebellion. He argued that individuals have a natural and unalienable right to their bodies, their property, and the fruits of their labor. Any government that seeks to violate these rights, according to Spooner, is not a government at all, but a tyranny. Spooner's views on anarchy were a radical departure from the prevailing thought of his time, and they continue to challenge our thinking today. He saw anarchy not as a state of disorder, but as a state of true freedom. For Spooner, anarchy was the ultimate expression of individual liberty and personal responsibility, free from the coercive power of the state. This perspective on anarchy was driven by Spooner's deep-seated belief in the sanctity of individual rights. He believed that each person is sovereign over their own life and has the right to live free from the interference of others, including the government. Spooner's anarchy was about dismantling oppressive systems and creating a society built on the respect for individual rights and freedom. While his views may seem radical to some, they provide a powerful critique of systems that prioritize power over people and control over freedom. In the words of Spooner, if men use their liberty in such a way as to surrender their liberty, are they not in all things consenting to be slaves? This poignant question encapsulates Spooner's view on anarchy. It challenges us to consider how we use our freedom, and whether we are truly free or merely consenting to our own enslavement. Spooner once said, "A man is no less a slave because he is allowed to choose a new master once in a term of years." A powerful sentiment that captures the heart of his philosophy. We've journeyed through Spooner's profound insights, exploring his thoughts on the true meaning of freedom, the hypocrisy within government structures, the horrifying injustice of slavery, and the controversial yet compelling case for anarchy. Spooner's perspective on individual freedom is a testament to his belief in the inherent rights of mankind. He championed the idea that each person is entitled to the fruits of their labor, and any system that infringes upon this right is inherently unjust. This understanding fueled his critique of government hypocrisy. According to Spooner, a government that promises to protect the rights of its citizens while simultaneously infringing upon those rights is not only hypocritical, but also illegitimate. His abhorrence of slavery was rooted in this same concept of individual freedom. For Spooner, slavery was the ultimate violation of a person's inherent rights, an institution that treated human beings as property rather than individuals with the capacity for self-determination. And then there's the case for anarchy. For many, anarchy symbolizes chaos and disorder, but for Spooner it represented the absence of an oppressive power. Anarchy, in Spooner's view, was not the absence of order, but the absence of a coercive authority. It was the ultimate expression of individual freedom and self-governance. These ideas, radical in his time and still provocative today, form the enduring legacy of Lysander Spooner. He was not just a philosopher or a writer, but a champion of individual rights and freedom. His words challenge us to examine our own beliefs about freedom, government, and the inherent rights of individuals. As we remember Spooner, let his words guide us. The principle that the majority have a right to rule the minority practically resolves all government into a mere contest between two bodies of men as to which of them shall be masters and which of them slaves.